Late game is back. The iconic Bugha's late game from last season is making its return in Season 8, and not only for a limited period, it's here to stay. Before the late game arena is added back on October 5th, there's actually going to be 2 tournaments as well. The first of which being a solo cup on Friday the 1st of October, and then there's going to be a trio cup the day after that on the 2nd of October as well. This will be the first time we'll see what solo gameplay of this actually looks like, and I am all for it. I said in a previous video, if there was a solo version of this, I would play all day. And add a solo version, it would be so sick. I would play 12 hours a day of a solo playlist of this. Please just put it in. There's not quite a solo version of it, but a solo tournament is so good. Not only that, there's also the trio fill option available that's also been available in the regular arena now too. Even if you're a solo player, you can still load into this, which was one of my biggest criticisms of the previous version, where you weren't able to actually play if you were just solo and you always needed a full trio to get involved in what is one of the best game modes that's ever been implemented into Fortnite. In both of these 2 paragraphs, they actually go over the loot pool a little bit too. They don't give us a full indication of what it actually is, but you can see that there is in particular a line that says more in line with the current season's competitive loot pool. So to me, this indicates that there's not going to be rifts, there's not going to be flintlocks, and it's just going to be the actual loot that you've got in arena and the competitive scene already, which is fantastic. There was some fun items in the previous version in that last season when it was Bugha's one, but that was obviously specific to the World Cup. Now that it's relevant to the competitive meta, this opens up avenues for players to start scrimming in this as well, which is a whole other level of endgame practice. When it comes to the hype and the arena points as well, they seem to have completely removed the bus fare, which I think is a really good idea. This isn't the regular arena mode. Remember, this isn't really going to be entry for high-level tournaments, and all it's going to be is just something to grind for the number. Realistically, for the players who are looking to get the highest points possible, bus fare is just irrelevant anyway. It just slows down the progression of how many points you end up getting. And for those lower tier players, it's obviously maybe just a little bit more motivational. In the original one of these, I actually really enjoyed just grinding the points out for the first couple of days, and then eventually they added a bus fare to the higher tiers, and it just wasn't as fun as seeing the numbers go up, in all honesty. I'm a very low to mid tier player by all accounts, but it was fun just to have something to grind. I knew I could try and aim for that top 500 in a leaderboard, which I was successful in getting in those first couple of days. And I think I go for saying for a lot of the lower to mid tier players, this is great just to have something to grind for. Bus fare absolutely makes sense when it comes to the normal arena mode, but putting it into a late game mode, in my eyes, is a little bit pointless. So I'm really glad they've gone down this decision of having no bus fare and just grind for the points. On top of that, there's a fixed leaderboard. Last season, it was very, very buggy and barely worked. Now, if we have 2 consecutive leaderboards, a normal hype leaderboard and a late game hype leaderboard, this gives people something to grind for that potentially they didn't have that much before. Now, obviously, there's much to be desired from the regular arena mode and much more of this game in terms of something to grind, but this is very exciting to see. I'm usually one of the first people to talk about things that I don't like within the game. If you look back through multiple of my YouTube videos, in particular my How Good Was X event series, I'm very open in criticizing the things that I think are poor for the game. However, at the same time, I will always give Epic their shout outs and their merits when they do something so right. And looking at the other late game updates, they have basically fixed every single issue that people had with the game overall. They've added the Reboot Vans back in, which to be honest, there was absolutely no reason for them to be removed at this point. The first zone will now form 30 seconds faster, which means that there's not going to be that hang waiting time as such in the third zone just when you land, which means that they're going to get to those end games a little bit faster, which should make the arena games a little bit better and a little bit less W key. Probably not at the end of the day. There's still probably not going to be stacked moving end games by any means, but there's a little bit of a larger chance of getting more people in the moving zones. They've also preemptively disabled the Slipstreams, which obviously would have caused a huge amount of issues already. This is something that sounds very simple, but I swear if this had come out in Chapter 1, we would have had Slipstreams in here for a couple of weeks. The zones have fully been fixed at the same time. Remember, in that last season, they were really scuffed. They moved quickly and were often not in the correct positions, and they've preemptively been fixed as well. The matches will also always fill up to 60 people, so you're always going to have that full game experience at the third zone. The main thing I want to take away from this is that this game mode is extremely streamable for the top level pros and content creators as well. If you're live on Twitch and you have 100 or more viewers and you play Arena, you will be stream sniped, and it's extremely demotivating for a lot of the top players to try and play because they just get grief game after game after game. and that in turn hurts the viewership for Twitch overall, because just less of the top names, the bigger players, want to stream because they know how many players are just going to land on them. On top of that, Arena is just boring, and it's even more boring to stream. So something like this, the late game Arena, that's fun, it's high octane, it's enjoyable to watch, it's enjoyable to play, is such a welcomed addition to the game. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned a lot. Peace.